Right, we're live. All right, everyone, welcome back. It is 11:35 on Thursday, May 7th, House Government Operations and Military Affairs. We are doing an introduction and a walkthrough on H 957, an act relating to the approval of amendments to the charter of the town of Williston. We will open things up with sponsor of the charter proposal, Representative Burkhardt. How are you?
Great for having me.
Yes. We finally got our schedules all in order.
Yes, sorry that the 1 day and 2 years that I was homesick was the last time you guys wanted me to come in. So I appreciate the reschedule. So good morning, Government Operations and Military Affairs. For the record, I'm Bridget Burkhardt. I represent Chittenden 8, which includes a part of Williston and a part of South Burlington. I'm here to introduce a very straightforward charter change for the town of Williston. Williston has decided to align itself with most of the municipalities in Chittenden County. And they are eliminating their board of listers and moving to an assessor-led model for groundless maintenance and property tax appeals. Voters approved the change on town meeting day this year by a margin of about 68% in favor to 32% unfavorable. Currently, the town's listers are responsible for signing the annual grand list, accepting or denying grievances, and providing general oversight of the assessor's office, but there already is an assessor's office. Listers do not participate in the daily operations of the assessor's office, though, and they do not value properties. There was concern that the new education requirements for listers would make it hard to attract and retain listers. They already struggled to keep all 3 lister positions filled. And they were also concerned that as Williston continues to develop, property tax appeals are getting more and more complex, especially on the commercial and industrial side. And so there was concern that listers might not be able to keep up with the education they needed to. They were concerned themselves that they might be able to keep up with the education they needed to be effective in that role. So that's pretty much all I have. I think it's a pretty typical charter change. So if you don't have any questions for me, I'll hand it over to Tim.
Questions for Representative or it's a pretty crisp idea.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Lots of
Okay.
complexity.
Excellent. Thank you.
Jinx it. So, how are you, sir?
Very much for having me back, committee members. For the record, my name is Tim Govlin, Legislative Counsel. For you, you have H 957, a charter change to the town of Williston. Let's see, it is a relatively brief bill, essentially 4 pages long. I think it'd be fine to just go through line by line, but I defer to the chair.
Yes, please do. Yeah. Let's do a jaunt through the bill and then we'll kick over to the town manager.
Okay. So section 1 is boilerplate language. It is just general language we find in all charter change bills, just generally approving the amendments of the charter change and then indicating when the voters approve the amendment, which is on March 3rd, 2026. Section 2 gets into the language of the charter itself. And just to orient the committee, we're in the appendices of Title 24, where we find all of our charters. This in particular is in Chapter 171. There's a quick note that curious, that was redesignated just a few years ago from, where were we? I think we were in Chapter 156, but now it's 171. So first change of substance we have in the charter itself is in Charter Section 14 of the page of top of the page 2 here. And we just simply repeal lister off the list of local elected officials. Then further down in under the same section 14, subdivision C for elected officers, duties, responsibilities, and conduct. There's subdivision 3, which had the meat of the law for listers. That is repealed in its entirety. That takes us to the bottom of page 3 of the bill. But we have section 15 of the charter, appointed non-administrative officials. Subdivision B4A contained A and C both contained references to those listers, and those that language has been struck out. through. Moving on to the to be added, section 21, titled Assessment of Property. This reads, subsection A, the town shall employ or contract with one or more professionally qualified assessors who meet prior to conducting any assessment of the work of the town. Training requirements established by the Director of Property Evaluation and Review under 32 VSA 4052. I should just note that that explicit cross-reference is not necessary. It's redundant, but due to the discretion of the committee, whether you want that to be removed or not, general law would, of course, still apply. But it's also just as fine to maintain here. Remain here. Subsection B reads, the assessor shall have the same powers, discharge the same duties, proceed in the discharge of those duties in the same manner, and be subject to the same liabilities as are prescribed for listers under provisions of Title 32. Same kind of comment then about cross-referencing other law. Section 3 of the bill, now we take ourselves out of the language of the charter itself and get into some session law. We have a transitionary provision here that reads, the term of office of any lister in office of, that's again, the term of office of any lister in office in the town of Williston shall expire 45 days after the passage of this act, or upon the date on which the assessor is employed or contracted with in accordance to that new charter provision. That is section 21. Bring us to section 4, the effective date. Act shall take effect on passage. So,
Yeah, bingo.
Thank you. Tim, how will this mesh with whatever Ways and Means is doing to establish new regional assessment districts? Do you know?
I do not know. I'm unfamiliar with what they're doing, but I can confer with some of my colleagues and check.
Because I think in what I'm understanding is that will be a contract with some assessor firm or organization is my understanding. So this probably, if that law were enacted, this may not be necessary, but perhaps Williston is getting, this is what it appears to me, is getting in before this all happens. They want it to happen sooner rather than later. It's just thinking aloud. Thanks for indulging me.
Anything else, council? Nope. Thank you, sir. And over to Eric Wells. How you doing, Eric?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah, so what brought us here?
Yep, Representative Burkhart outlined it well. It was supported at town meeting day, put on the warning by the select board for all the reasons that Representative Burkhart outlined. I will just add that our current elected listers were all in support of this change as well, and that was part of the conversation moving forward. To answer the question about the assessment districts of Ways and Means, this change is really operational for the town on a day-to-day basis. We employ an assessor and a part-time assessor right now who do that day-to-day work. That would carry on as we look for reappraisal moving forward. That's when that would really come into play in addition, and we'll need that staff on hand for that operational work as well. Working with a contracted reappraisal firm is something we're lining up here in the next couple of months, as Wilson's has a reappraisal order standing right now. And we would continue to utilize our existing staff structure. This eliminates the office of elected lister that's primarily working towards that grievance process, which, as we've outlined, has become more and more complex with the commercial appeals we've experienced in recent years.
Thank you.
Representative Hisnall, then Coffin.
Could you tell us the vote results, the number of yeas and nos?
Yep, I've got to hear from the clerk. Yeses were 1,560 and nos were 727 on Article 17.
Thank you.
That was the exact question I was gonna ask.
Yes. And we do have that SharePoint that does get uploaded with all that stuff by council. So that is a feature that we have living in our Outlook system. So, but thank you for having that information prepared. anything else from Mr. Wells? This does seem like it's pretty crisp, understandable, and it kind of jives with the other policies that are floating around about the evolution of how we're doing appraisals and assessments in a more professional landscape, right?
Yeah, I think we'll see more of these. I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So. Was that a hand representative? Nope.
No,
Okay,
sir.
cool. That was just like a
Thank you.
affirmative motions. I love that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, I think that was pretty straight to the point as we thought it was. So we'll talk about whether or not we want to do continued work on this or just set it up for a vote. We'll have that conversation later on. But yeah, barring anything else, we'll break for lunch because it's going to be a long floor day today. Seeing no hands, seeing no comments. All right. Thank you, Team Williston.